Hello and welcome back to Colonial Airstream. I'm Patrick Botticelli, also known as the Airstream Guy. We're back with another session of questions and answers that were posted to our YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram account. And we're going to kick it off today with Paul. Paul has a question: why doesn't Airstream recommend different towing vehicles for different size travel trailers that they manufacture? Well, Paul, that's a very good question. There's a lot more to it when recommending tow vehicle. For example, if you own a Ford Explorer, it may have a towing capacity listed in the Ford Towing Guide. But then there's also a hitch weight capacity, which may vary from vehicle to vehicle, depending on how that vehicle is equipped. But the biggest thing is there's a payload capacity. So the payload will vary depending on how the vehicle's equipped with the different options, rim size, tire size. So it could vary a great amount on one particular tow vehicle. So Airstream publishes their gross vehicle weight rating, which is the maximum weight that the trailer can potentially be. That's what the axle and frame's rated for. And they also publish the unloaded vehicle weight rating, which is what the trailer will weigh before any options or cargo is put inside. And you're going to want to factor in that you're going to put in water and some cargo. So I always would go with the gross vehicle weight rating. Whatever that number is, you want to make sure your vehicle could tow more than that to give you some margin. And then you have to look at the hitch weight rating. That is the dry hitch weight rating that Airstream puts for each one of their models in their brochures and their marketing materials. And you want to add some weight to that. I usually add about 10 to 20%, and that's about what it will weigh hitch weight when you're towing. And then you want to make sure the vehicle has a hitch weight capacity that exceeds that. Next, you would take that hitch weight number and the passengers in the vehicle and the cargo you're going to put in the vehicle, and you add all those together, and you want to make sure that it doesn't exceed your tow vehicle's payload capacity. And usually when you open the driver's door in a tow vehicle, have a sticker that tells you your cargo carrying capacity, your net carrying capacity, whatever the number is. You want to make sure that you're not exceeding that. So Airstream does a great job giving you the information for the particular tow vehicle, and then you'll have to find the tow vehicle that has all those requirements, and hopefully that will help you out. Next question we have is from Tracy. Tracy wants to know what's holding up production currently. They've heard refrigerators, mattresses, and is there any truth to that? Yes, there is truth for that. The refrigerator mattresses, that was a challenge that we had maybe about a year ago. Right now it's January 2022. About last summer and spring, there was some challenge with the mattresses and refrigerator. I think we've been through that, although supply chain is pretty tight right now. What's holding up production is you have a workforce that works at a factory. They have about 1,000 employees. You're going to have a call-out rate that is a normal call-out rate. Say on any given day, 5 to 7% of your workforce is going to be out sick or on vacation. That number has been very high recently because of people distancing for COVID and family and call-outs of the factories. That number is much higher, so it actually slowed the production rate. The biggest challenge is getting raw materials. So, rivets and screws and fasteners and some of the machinery they need to do the extrusions. A lot of that stuff is in short supply. So even if a manufacturer wants to scale up production, there are other things, employees, labor, machinery that they need, and raw materials that will slow down production. But Airstream is doing their very, very best job. They really have designated a lot of their engineering staff to help figure out solutions for some vendor shortage. So they're putting a lot of effort in making sure they got the best products for their best travel trailers. They could build them in the best possible way and deliver them to the dealers in a timely manner. So it's going to be a challenge for a little while. It's not going to go away overnight, but I could tell you that I'm confident with what practices Airstream has in place that we're going to work through this very smoothly. So thanks for the patience. The next question here is from John Carlo, and they really want to, they're curious what I would recommend for a first-time RVer. They're intimidated by size of some of them. Where do you even start? Well, you really have to decide if you want to tow a travel trailer or you want to drive a touring coach. Two completely different lifestyles. I have both. I have a travel trailer and a motorhome. I don't need both, but I have them. And I use the travel trailer for more extended stays. If I'm going to be in one place for a longer period of time, I'm going to do a lot of things around that central located area. It's nice to have a trailer to go back to and go out in my regular pickup truck and do my adventures. The van is good for if I'm going to be popping around from place to place to place, doing a lot of day trip, weekend trips. I even used it in situations where I was set up at a campground for a week, but I would pack everything in and take it out for a day and pack everything back up when I want to go camp for that night. But where do you start in size? Well, a lot of people would immediately say, hey, we're going to start out small. If we love this lifestyle, we're going to get a larger one down the road. And right now we only have this particular tow vehicle that can pull X amount of pounds. We can't pull anything bigger than that. So you really decide what your comfort levels are. Are you okay with folding down a bed each night as your main source of bed? Do you want a bed that's set up all the time? Do you want a dry bath or are you okay with a wet bath? Once you go through this little checklist of wants and needs, it'll really help pinpoint you to the right model. If you want twin beds, well, a twin bed would be 23 feet and up in an Airstream travel trailer. So that would lead you, all right, now we have to focus on 23 and larger. We can't get a 16, 19, 20, or 22. And then if you want to walk around queen bed, well, that's also going to be on a 23 or larger. So hopefully some of these things are going to help you decide on which model is best for you. A lot of people are fearful of towing for the first time. I could tell you I was, but 20 years ago when I had to pull my first travel trailer, it was a little nerve-wracking. But after about a couple hours of towing, I really got comfortable with it. Airstream's tows so well that I was like, wow, what did I even lose sleep for stressing about this? This is nothing, and I wish I would have brought a bigger trailer on that trip. So you want to think about your next trailer when you're buying your first trailer, because you might save yourself a lot of time and aggravation if you just buy that little bit bigger trailer first time around and go with it. And I think you're going to enjoy it. So hopefully that would help you in that particular situation. Next question here is from Bob. Bob wants to know, is manufacturing back on track? Airstream says there's long delays. Well, we discussed a little bit earlier in the segment here about some of the production challenges, but every dealer gets their order allocation. Order allocation tells the dealer what they have to sell and the time frame, and we sell from our allocation. So when I tell a customer trailer is going to be built around this month, that's about the time the trailer will be built, and we know when the trailer will be shipped. Lead times may vary from dealer to dealer depending on dealer's allocation. Some dealers have more to sell, some dealers have less to sell. But I could tell you there's been some delays. There's been delays in production. They reconfigured the assembly line to build more trailers of one size, maybe less of another, which caused delays on some of those sizes. But I could say, right now Airstream is pretty on track. So whatever you were told on your order lead time, I would expect it to arrive around that same time. But anything's possible. You read the news, you see everything going on right now. There's always a possible for a delay. All right, the next question here is from Karen. Karen wants to know, would the bed in a 16RB Bambi and Caravel be suitable for someone that's 6'3"? Well, the bed is 6'5", so yes, they would fit, but are they sleeping like this or are they sleeping like this? Depends on how you lay in the bed. Some people lay a lot longer than they do when they're standing. So you really have to really understand how you're going to be laying in the bed to decide if it'll fit. I've sold 16RBs to people that were over 6'5", and they made it work somehow. They did. They made it. Maybe they sleep more curled up. Maybe that's their sleeping habit. But also, too, the mattress is 78 inches, which is 6'5". There's a headboard and a footboard at the end of the bed that I've seen some people put mattress toppers, which elevates the actual mattress a little bit taller, and they're able to go wall to wall, which is just under 8 feet. So you could really extend that bed a little bit longer if you had to with a little bit of modification. Next question we have here is from Leslie wants to know, does Airstream have plans to offer carrying electric bikes? So the challenge with electric bikes right now is that they're pretty heavy. The Airstream Fiamma bike rack, which Airstream sells, we put it on the dealer aftermarket, holds up to 77 pounds and 2 bikes total. When you factor in electric bikes, e-bikes, even if you remove the batteries on some of these, they will exceed that 77-pound mark. Now, it's not that the bike rack wasn't designed to only hold 77 pounds for that, because they way to engineer it. But it's pretty smart they did it that way, because if they built a bike rack that could hold 200 pounds, well, that's on the back of the trailer. And if you put too much weight in the back of a travel trailer, that's what causes the trailer to sway. So when they designed this bike rack with Fiamma, they really had to be mindful of the way it's going to change the way the trailer tows down the highway. And I think that 77-pound limit would not make it exceed and lessen that tongue weight to give you sway. I've seen a lot of people do aftermarket. We don't offer it here at our dealership, but they install hitch receivers on the back of the travel trailers underneath the bumper. And that's fine, you could do that, but you have to understand, whatever you're sliding into that hitch receiver, if that exceeds a certain amount of weight, you could really greatly change the hitch weight of the trailer, which would cause it to sway. So my solution for anybody that wants to do an e-bike, if you get the Airstream Fiamma bike rack, you could put one e-bike in the back, and then there are companies that make front A-frame mounted hitch receivers. So it's a hitch receiver that bolts to the A-frame and hovers above the propane cylinders. And in that receiver is a 2-inch receiver, just like you would have in the back of an SUV or pickup truck. Then you could purchase a regular bike rack that slides right into a hitch receiver and slide it into that bike rack. And then you could put another e-bike or maybe even 2 more. A little bit excess hitch weight isn't a bad thing. It's really not going to change the way the trailer tows. You do have to factor it into your vehicle's payload. We talked about that earlier, to make sure that your vehicle has enough payload for that increased hitch weight. But that's what I would do. And also, some of these e-bikes are pretty expensive, and they could get stolen pretty easily. A bike rack is easily cut off. No matter what type of lock you have on it, the bike rack could be cut off. So maybe I'd want to put them inside the trailer for more security. Next question we have here is from our Instagram account. Airstream Sister wants to know, would you rather travel in the mountains or beach on a 10-day vacation? They've been sitting on the fence about both situations. They want to know what food, water, drink you would bring, and what would be on your list. Well, first and foremost, I love the beach. I'm more of a beach person. I love road biking. I love all the beach activities. So if I was doing a 10-day trip, that's probably where I'd go. Maybe I'd split it. There are some places where you could go beach and mountain and within a short proximity, like in New Jersey, and do both. Do 5 days in one place, 5 days in another. But I would bring a first aid kit. You always have to have a first aid kit. Plenty of lotion, tanning lotion. And then if I was biking in the mountains, I'd bring my mountain bike and all my mountain biking gear. On the beach, I'd bring a really comfortable beach chair and chill out and watch the waves and get some sun. Next question we have here is Clarissa, and Clarissa has a 22 FB Bambi, and they have a regular microwave that's what comes standard on that model. If you move up the Caravel line, you can get a microwave or upgrade to the convection microwave. Bambi, that's not available. They want to know about replacing the microwave with a convection microwave. And what do I think about that and what needs to be done? Well, the Bambi was designed specifically to be a little bit lighter, to be a little bit lower price point, and that's why it only has the microwave and no convection microwave. Another thing is, because of the weight reduction and the price reduction of a Bambi versus Caravel, the Caravel actually has a cooktop ventilation system. Vents outside the trailer, turn on a fan. When you have a convection microwave, it should also have a cooktop ventilation. You shouldn't just rely on the 14x14 fantastic fan that's in the ceiling. So if I was going to put a convection microwave in a 22 Bambi, I would add the range hood with ventilation. So that would mean some electrical wiring, some replacing of the cabinet, a cooktop vent on the exterior, then remove the microwave. and the trim ring, buy the convection microwave, the new trim ring, retrim out the cabinets, put the microwave in. It's going to be a big job. It's going to probably cost several $1,000s. Maybe that would be a good point to upgrade to a Caravelle or even a Flying Cloud 23FB, similar floor plan, but a lot more features. I don't believe that would be a good feature to sell on a resale value. I don't know if customers would find value in a Bambi that had that modified versus a used Caravelle out there. So you have to be careful on a resale that you're not going to be able to recoup that money. Can my 2021 Ford Explorer King Ranch 4x4 pull a Bambi? My specs shows it could pull a maximum of 5,600 pounds and has 365 horsepower and 380 torque. It is equipped with the tow package, including tow haul. Based on the numbers you provided, you could pull any of the Bambis. I don't know what your payload is, so you have to look at your payload sticker and add up your weight, passenger weight, and hitch weight, but it appears that it would. One thing you will need and should have is an electric brake controller inside the vehicle. You can do with a wireless one, a Bluetooth one, and then you should have, as long as your vehicle is compatible, you have to check your owner's manual, a weight distribution hitch system with sway control. It goes between the truck and trailer, helps us distribute the tongue weight so the back of your vehicle doesn't sag, and provides some sway control. So, nice vehicle, by the way. Next question we have, they want to know if a Flying Cloud 23 or 25, which one is more popular? Historically, we sell more 25s than 23s. And the reason why that is maybe for a first timer, they'll start with a 23, but they'll eventually move up to a 25. And there are some people that just start with a 25. Then we have people that have a larger trailer that downsize to a 25. So it's kind of like that happy medium. So we see a lot of people either start there or end there. So that's why it sells a lot more. It's also available with a lot more features. You get a rear hatch, you can get a front upper bunk, you could also get the power standing desk. So there's a lot more options available when you get to that size. And also, one of the things that people love about a 25 is you get front and rear panoramic windows, which is not available on the 23 narrow body floor plan. Next question we have here, does the awning automatically retract in high winds? So let's talk about the awning. Not all the awnings on the Airstream travel trailers are the same. There's manual awnings and there's power awnings. Zip-D is the manufacturer of all of the awnings. When you go to an International, Globetrotter, Pottery Barn, or Classic, they all have power awnings standard. Flying Cloud, Caravelle, Bambi, and down, they have a manual Zip-D awning, and there's no option to upgrade them to power on the factory level. The power awning that Zip-D makes, that Airstream uses in production, does not have a wind or seismic sensor built in. So it's always best practice, whenever you're uncertain about the weather, to physically push the button to close and allow the awning to close. I love that because you don't need your awning out all day long if you're not going to be attending or near the trailer to close it in case of emergency. So it's always best practice, even if you leave the trailer for a half hour to go up and swim in the pool at the campground, just close the awning. Just press the button. And when you come back, just press the button. It's not as an involved process as it would be on a Flying Cloud, Bambi, or Caravelle. So it's just that easy. Next question is, hi Patrick, maybe you could offer an opinion on one of the two below. Is Airstream considering the new Truma Aventer Comfort AC heat pump in units and their models? They also wanted to know about in the coaches replacing the generator with a larger lithium battery bank and also be able to run the furnace and cooktop. Well, a lot of good points here, good questions. I'm personally considering the Truma Comfort AC for my own Airstream as an upgrade for an older air conditioning. The challenge I've seen is supply chain. It's a smaller company that has a smaller footprint. So one of the challenges is being able to get as many as Airstream would need for their production for the model years. And then two, to be able to get replacement pieces and parts and units if they ever went down. If the manufacturer is able to support Airstream in supplies, it definitely would be something that the manufacturer may consider. Also, too, is service centers. So you take a Dometic air conditioner that Airstream uses a lot of the models. There's a lot of places in the country that service Dometic products, Dometic service centers. Truma is a little bit different. They have a very smaller footprint of service centers. So you got to think about, if you need service or warranty service, how many places can you take it to for that particular manufacturer? So a lot of manufacturers, when they build products, they're thinking about the end consumer and how their experience will be when they need warranty service. And the more dealers and more places you go to repair, the faster it could be repaired and more convenient it would be for the customer. So maybe Truma's not there yet, but we'll see in the years coming. Also, too, on the vans, replacing the generator with more lithium. That's something I'm considering. My Airstream van, I have a Lithionics 320 amp hour battery in my Airstream van now. And I have an old Awning 2800 gasoline generator that's noisy and smelly and vibrates the whole motorhome that I barely use, that I'm thinking of pulling it out and replacing with the Lithionics 620, which should give me almost 1,000 amp hours of battery, and I'll put a 3,000 watt inverter inside. And I'm on my way, right? It's very expensive, for one. We know Airstream products are up there in price point, so what's another $20,000? But you know, they have to be mindful of what the customer's expectation is and what outcome they want. So it is something that is looked at and considered and potentially could be down the road. One nice thing that Awning did recently is they did upgrade their propane generator to a much quieter platform, smoother platform. So now when it runs, you barely hear it. So it's really not a bad thing to have a generator running. You run it for almost 30 hours on one tank of propane. That's not too bad. And also, some of the feedback we get from other manufacturers too is that they want to have a generator. Some motorhomes that are made with just lithium, if there's not enough sunlight during the day, or the sun's not at the right angle, or if they're not starting the engine to recharge those batteries, they're quite limited. So they're actually bringing a gasoline generator with them and strapping it onto the back because they like the backup generator. I think Airstream has it right with some lithium and some generator. That way it gives you a lot more flexibility for our customer base. Moving on to the next question. I'm sure a lot of you seen it and heard about it. The eStream concept vehicle that Airstream announced at the Tampa RV show earlier this month, January 2022. It's the direction the RV industry will be looking to explore within the next 4 to 8 years. So it's a concept vehicle, it wasn't a prototype. So a prototype would be that we're ready to go in production, we're building one, testing it, and then go in production. This is just a concept. So this was an idea that says, hey, you know, industry knows that the vehicles are going to be mostly electric in the future. So how is the RV industry going to respond to that? So the eStream was built with the idea that, hey, this could happen. The trailer could be self-propelled, that it could power its own wheels, so it doesn't take the economy away from the vehicle pulling it. And then you could auto park it. So say you live in a city somewhere, you got this little skinny aisle that to back the thing down, you can actually remote control on your phone, back it down the alley. Now that technology already exists and has existed for about 10 years. There's a company that could retrofit electric motor wheels that snap on or clamp onto your regular tires, and you could drive the trailer down an alley. I've seen it before. But it's interesting to see that Airstream and Thor Industries, the leaders in the industry for RVs, have addressed this idea and are going to develop something in the future along the lines of the eStream. So I was quite impressed. And you know, just about 2 weeks before they even announced this, I didn't know about it. We had talked about a self-propelled trailer here at our dealership. In a meeting, we talked about some of the ideas we had, and it's nice to see that Airstream already had plans for that. Next question we have from Curtis. Hi, Patrick. There's a lot of discussion about lithium iron phosphate batteries. Can you talk about some of the differences we should be aware of, temps, capacity, and what Colonial chooses? Well, we did a great video on the Lithionics batteries that we sell here, as well as the Battleborn. We're going to link to that above, so you can click on that video and check it out and see what Tommy talked about with the Lithionics and the Battleborn. I'll give you some feedback on my own personal level. I have Battleborn battery in my Bambi, and I have Lithionics in my Airstream van. 2 different sizes, 2 different expectations for usage. It's about 17 degrees outside today. I have both my batteries turned on with the battery heat turned on. I have the Bambi plugged into shore power at the house, and I have the Airstream out in the driveway with the solar charging that battery. I don't need to have the batteries on, and I don't need to have the battery heat on, but since the sun's out today, I figured why not let it charge through the solar, which in turn I need to leave the heat on. So if you're going to do any type of lithium iron phosphate battery in your Airstream, I'd recommend going to the name brand. The Lithionics brand is UL listed, so I know if I'm sleeping on top of that battery, it's underneath my bed, that it's been tested. So if there is a problem that it's contained within that battery, not all batteries are going to be UL listed, so that's something to think about. Your safety is very important. As for temperature range, I would recommend getting one that has the built-in heat, and either leave the heat switch on all the time and it'll thermostatically turn on and off to get the temperature in the battery at the right threshold so it can be charged, or just shut the battery off, shut the heat off, and leave it at idle if you're not using the trailer. If you are using the trailer, you could turn it on and use it. But if you need to take on a charge from solar, your tow vehicle, shore power, generator, it's got to be at the right temperature before you put a charge in it. It could damage the battery. Next question, moving on. Patrick, I'm stuck. Many of the Airstream coaches and few trailers have wet baths. Are wet baths inconvenient or practical? What are the benefits? We have a family of 3 and we need help deciding. Both of my Airstreams have wet baths. It's just me, maybe occasional guest, and it works fine for me. A wet bath is an extremely efficient use of space in a very small area. If you want to think about a part of your living space that you're going to only use for a small amount of time in the day, very small time in the day, do you need it to take up that much space of your living space if you're going to spend a lot of time in during the day? Both my Airstreams are small because I don't spend a lot of time in the Airstream during the day. I'm out adventuring. I'm out doing all sorts of cool stuff. The Airstream, I'm coming back at night exhausted, taking a shower, grabbing a snack, and going to bed. So small is okay with me. Now for family of 3, you have to think about sleeping arrangements. Where is it people going to sleep, and how much room you need. A lot of people travel with pets. They need sometimes more room than humans do. But like the Base Camp 20X has a huge dinette that folds down. You can put 2 kids there. A large bed in the back that folds down. You have lots of different sleeping options back there. And it has a wet bath. Not bad. Sometimes I just use my toilet and then I'll shower at the campground facility. So, that's my expectation. I'm okay with that, but not everybody is okay. They want to be able to shower and use their toilet. So I have some tips and tricks in my own Airstream. I pull a shower curtain over the toilet so it doesn't get completely soaked when I'm showering. That is helpful, but I also spend just a little bit of time when I'm done showering just to wipe it down. And I don't use the huge towels that I use in my house. I use smaller towels. So I towel down, I wipe down the bathroom when I'm done. So now when I come back later in the day and have to run and use the bathroom, it's not soaking wet. But if a dry bath is an absolute must, there's so many different model Airstream trailers that have dry baths. If you go 19 feet Caravel or Bambi, 20 feet Caravel Bambi, or 22 and larger, they all have dry bath separate toilet. But as long as your tow vehicle could support that and you're okay towing something that large, if the dry bath is needed, then I would go that direction. Next question here from John. Does the Airstream Classic line enhance winter capability? How do you know when it's too cold to pack up and go and drain the water tanks? Well, right now it's pretty cold here in New Jersey. I'm sure we got a cold spell over the whole East Coast here. We have a customer in our parking lot camping out. Their trailer arrived from the factory. They came to pick it up. They're all the way from Texas. They don't get the cold winters that we have up here. And they did the orientation. They wanted to spend a night here at the dealership and say, hey, we want water on board. So, you know, when you're below freezing, you have to turn on your keep the heat on inside the trailer, and you have to turn on the tank heaters. On a Classic, they have 12-volt tank heaters. So there's heat pads on the bottom of the tank, just like you'd have in the heated seat in your car. That's a good example. Similar situation. You know how hot your seat gets in your car when you have the heated seats on. That tank is then in an insulated chamber, so any of the heat that creates from the heat pad kind of stays in that tank chamber. We always say it gives you a 7 to 10 degree boost in the temperature inside the tank. So if it's below freezing outside, get all the way down to 22 degrees, say, your tank is protected, prevented from freezing. Why is the Classic a little bit better for cold weather camping? Well, because it has a hydronic heating system. There is a curtain of hot air around this whole, we're in a Classic, by the way, that's what I'm pointing around this whole entire trailer. So that's behind your cabinets, your shower, your toilet, the bed, all around the whole trailer. It's different than, say, a Globetrotter, Pottery Barn, or anything down that has a forced hot air propane furnace. It puts a lot of hot air into certain areas of the trailer and also down into your tanks. The difference is you're going to have hot spots and cold spots. So if you open up your wardrobe, there's no heat in the wardrobe, right? So it's going to feel a little cold. When you open the shower door, it's going to feel a little bit colder. So I would not recommend going below that 22 degree mark in those trailers if you're going to have water on board. If you're just camping, you could go all the way down. You don't need it to be 70 degrees in here if you're, you know, cold weather camping. You could be comfortable at 60 degrees sleeping in a sleeping bag, but don't have water. In the Classic, we've seen it much lower. I've seen, you know, single-digit numbers, the trailer staying warm and the plumbing not freezing. No guarantees there, but I've seen the capability and possibilities. And there's companies like Air Skirts, we're affiliate with Air Skirts, so you could order the Air Skirts, and it's a skirt system that goes around the bottom of the trailer. They're basically airbags that create a crawl space under the trailer to keep any heat that comes from the ground or escapes from the trailer trapped, so you don't have that really, really frigid cold air underneath the trailer. And that will give you a higher level of comfort inside the trailer. So if you're going to do exclusive cold weather camping, I would maybe look more towards the Classic. If you're going to do a smaller trailer, the base camp has always worked well for cold weather campers as well. Next question is from Wendy. Wendy wants to know, they're seriously considering the Basecamp 20X. Her and her husband are not fans of hot weather. They like cooler weather, but they also want to camp in the summer months. And they want to know about air conditioning. And they had bad memories of camping when they're kids and being stifling hot and hard to sleep. I get it. It's hard to sleep when you're really, really hot. If you've traveled to other countries before and stayed in hostels or certain Airbnbs that don't have air conditioning, it could be hard. So what I do in my own Airstream is, if I'm not going to run the air conditioning all night, I'll run it at a point where I can cool the trailer down from all that heat that it retains during the day out in the sun. I'll cool it down to a comfortable level, and then I'll shut it off. So I would do that with a generator or plug into shore power at a campground, or if you got enough lithium batteries and a big enough inverter, you could do it off of that for a period of time. Then I'll maintain that temperature all night long. Usually it's cooler at night, you get a little breeze. You're not getting any sunlight onto the trailer. I'll run the fantastic fans and I'll open up a window for ventilation and maybe bring a USB fan or a regular household fan to move that air across your body. And that has been comfortable for me. It's hard sleeping in a small space when it's really hot, but I would always recommend get that initial heat out of there first and start off with a cooler trailer and try to maintain it all night long. Another question on the eStream that was displayed at the Tampa RV show. They wanted to know about what size that trailer was. I wasn't there to see it, but based on what I looked at, it looks like it's a European shell. So the shell that Airstream uses on their European trailers had the European hitch tongue area. And it looks like their 22-foot trailer. Could be a little bit longer, but that's what the concept vehicle was built off of. And nice floor plan too, by the way. I like that layout. So wrapping up today's Q&A session, I just wanted to give a shout out to James and Carol. They wrote in, they didn't have any questions, they just wanted to say hi, so they bought an Airstream from me, so I just wanted to say hello back. And we have an event here at our dealership, Colonial Airstream, Millstone Township, New Jersey, February 18th, 19th, and 21st. So it's the Friday, Saturday, and the Monday, President's Day weekend, from 10 to 5. We're going to have seminars here for customers that want to learn a little bit more about their travel trailer. We're going to have some vendors here and some food. It is a free event, so we'd love it if you could make it. You could call us at 800-265-9019. You can visit us on our website, colonialairstream.com. Check us out or RSVP to the event. You can also check us out on our social media channels. We have one for Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. This is Patrick Botticelli with Colonial Airstream, Millstone Township, New Jersey. Hope you enjoyed this video today. Make sure you write in your comments for the next Q&A round that we'll have here in March. Thanks for watching.